Hey everybody, it is Cinnamon Cootie, your Art Sherpa. We're back to our regularly scheduled program where we're going to be doing a wood fence with wildflowers. To help me teach this class, step by step, is my husband, John.
Hello.
Yeah, sometimes refer to him as Stun Hands, so if you see that in the chat and you're like, who's Stun Hands? That's John, because he's camera shy and he only shows his hands. That's the backstory if you're very new here today. Today we're going to be doing a 16 by 20 acrylic painting. We're going to be teaching it step by step. This is for beginners. It is easy. I'm going to explain a really cool technique for getting the wood fence. I'm going to show you how you can paint these flowers. And very importantly, if you don't draw and you don't want to do the simple grid with me, if you check the description down below, and remember, sometimes that description is hard to find when you have a phone. You have to find the little dots that open it up on your screen. They put it on a different place on everybody's screen because they like to give us, I guess, something to do. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think they just thought, how can we make this harder? We're like, anyways, so it is there. And if you open it up, it gives you a bunch more information and links to our website, TheArtSherpa.com. Now there I do provide a traceable, and we're going to timestamp this, which means that at the end of it, we create a chapter system so you know what step happened when. And if you scroll over the play bar, it's going to show what step we're on. So give us about an hour after the show for that. Mm-hmm. We also write a step-by-step mini book, which if you're a person who learns in a layered way, or maybe you're hard of hearing or a member of the deaf community, that can be really useful for the lesson, because I know sometimes the live closed captioning is spotty or non-existent for reasons I don't know why, because I've enabled all of that on my channel. Anytime YouTube's like, would you like to make your video more accessible to others? I'm like, yes. And then sometimes they don't. So I have no explanation for why that happens. It's way above my technology grade. How are we feeling this Sunday?
Really good. This is a really nice chat. Everyone's out here ready to go.
Did we text?
Yes,
we did the text notification. We do a text notification, well, as many as we can afford to do a month when we're live, because sometimes notifications are kind of spotty too on the platform. So if you go on your phone and text the Art Sherpa one word to 33222, it will let you know. If you don't want to do that, or you're not in the contiguous United States, or just United States,
I don't know, wherever the
if you're not there,
system.
Be sure to hit the bell and subscribe so that tells you. And if you want to paint something, please tell me in the comments. Actually, just leave a comment. I always check the comments after a video. And even if I don't get to reply to everyone, I do read them all, and they make me feel good in my heart. They do. Aww. They do. I don't think they actually impact the channel, but they do impact me. So I really appreciate them, and I read them even if I can't respond to all of them. All right. Materials before we get to step one. Are you guys ready? As per what we said before, 16 by 20 size canvas. We like to put wishes and intentions and stuff there. And so the first wish I have is compassion for mental health. So what I really mean is like all spectrums of mental health, like the kind that's easy to be compassionate for. I think it's easy sometimes to be compassionate to those who have depression. But remember that mental health comes in a lot of different flavors, and some of it isn't always easy to remember to be compassionate and recognize a person is in struggle, and maybe they are giving us their best in that moment. So general compassion for all mental health. And then access to treatment. That's a big one, that people get access to treatment. The other one that we have is love and understanding for the autism spectrum, and just better relationships, I think, to just make room for everybody, because we're all okay. So that's my beginning of the class, the energy I'm putting into the universe. Over here, I'm not going to do the entire painting in this color. That's why we put the colors in the description below.
Just some brown.
But right now we have some burnt sienna. And the first step is going to be about painting this canvas entirely brown, which is called an acrylic ground. So you ready to throw up a step and take a picture, John?
Am I ever?
All right. Rustic Wood Fence. I love how I name things. By the way, I asked this in Facebook group, but I'm asking you here. What are the flowers? Are they milkweed? What are they? I couldn't figure out what the flowers were. They queens. What are these flowers? So if you know,
flower people help us.
I know the internet knows. You guys always like find everything and can locate everything. So, that would be really good. Okay. So very simple step. This is going to be the easiest step of the whole lesson. You guys are ready?
What you getting over there?
I'm getting a big brush because I don't want to be painting forever.
Oh, okay.
So this is a 1.5 inch cutter. You could use a 3 inch cutter. You could use a 2 inch cutter. It does look like the brushes from the hardware store, and they honestly actually do have these makes a pretty good one. I was talking to John that I might test those out in a future scenario. I got my brush very lightly wet, and you can see that I'm loading. And when I'm loading, and this is important, notice that I turn the brush over. That makes sure that the paint is distributed through the filaments of the brush. So I'm going to add a little more. The reason I'm very careful with my water on a hog brush is that it really carries a lot.
Yeah.
Now, this is very important. Take all of your frustration and anger or energy or whatever you've got going on that traffic line or what's happening over there.
You're getting
in the park. Get it out, get it out, get it out. Mine is my neighbor who won't move his pots. Just whatever it is. Oh, move your pots. You're so rude. Be nice to others. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting in a ground, but I think it's a great opportunity to maybe, because you don't have to be neat or tidy. So let's get that energy out. For those of you that painted with me for a while, you guys are like, oh, this is new. But this first layer doesn't need to be perfect. It's really just about getting a solid coat of paint on here. Not a thick coat of paint, just a coat of paint. As you do, I'm going to go ahead and dip a little bit in water. Again, quite careful. And I think it's just fun to know that sometimes you can just be relaxed.
We have some special little brush guests with us.
We have little brush guests? All right, you can be like, ooh, homeschool's making me so mad. As it certainly is to my kids. How are the little brushes doing today while I paint?
Well, Tinker Quinn's little brush sends a very special thank you for teaching her mom to paint.
Oh, hi, Tinker Quinn. Thank you very much for keeping your mom encouraged in her painting. That's an important thing, too, is keeping our moms and dads and grandmothers and grandfathers and aunts and uncles and sisters and brothers all encouraged, and friends. Because it's real easy to doubt yourself. I'm not going to doubt myself anymore.
You're just getting all the brown in the background. It's a big
brush, big canvas, and
big canvas to get all the brown in.
I thought today I'd just demonstrate that it's just not a big deal.
just general brownness.
Just general brownness. And I thought, oh, this could be like a therapeutic moment. I know I needed one over this pot situation, and it's kind of getting to me. So
just a couple more.
Yeah, just try to get it all covered. And sometimes the canvases fight back. Now, I have these white spots because my brush is kind of dry, but sometimes you guys have white spots because the canvas doesn't want to take the paint. And that can be kind of a problem too. So this stage is a great stage to overcome that issue in any canvas. And this rough application of paint can also sometimes overcome that problem in a canvas. Because you're like working it in. You have to put out a little more brown. This canvas just was thirsty today.
It really is.
It was like, nom, 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 nom. Brown is the color I want to eat today. No, brown, brown, brown. Hi, how you doing? All right. We're doing so good. I think we are. That was the longest painted canvas brown. This is why I think some YouTubers are like, I'm just going to fast forward this section. Lapse. Yeah. They're like, you don't need to see. But it is nice to see because sometimes I think you guys at home, even these little weird moments, you don't know until you know. So seeing me even have these moments helps you. You know, we're going to rinse out our brush because we don't want to leave our brush with paint on it, ruin our brush. We can do a good washing after, but you want to make sure that you don't have any paint drying on your brush. The next stage is to dry this, and then go on to step 2. We'll take a picture and I'll show them how to grit it in. But let's dry it first.
Sounds like a good plan.
Dry it, dry it, dry it, dry it, dry it.
So, if you're doing the painting in the background at home, make sure you thoroughly dry the surface between the layers. And so, as you go through, you'll see that the sheen of the paint will change a little bit, and that'll help the paint. You'll know that it's fully dry, but it's good to go ahead and get it all the way dry so that when you paint the next layers, none of this paint lifts up. Because if it's still a little wet or just got that, it's what we call skinned, where the surface is dry but the paint itself isn't all the way dry through it, it will come back up off the surface. So as you can see there, the brown is turning from a dark kind of wet brown to a more matte looking finish, and that's what you're looking for. So once it's all the way through that stage, it will be ready for I'm not sure what she's doing over there. Just getting. Do you have some?
I was doing my Tom Cruise from Cocktail. Okay. That was my Coyote Ugly hair drying right there. Woo!
Oh, right. I gotta take a picture.
Yeah, you do. You just gotta take a picture. That helps us. Right now, you will be, if you read the step by step, which comes out a little bit later, from the video. So if you're here for the live, you wait a little bit. But if you're here a few days later, it may be done. Yeah, you'll get to see the step where you aggressively paint the canvas brown. Aggressively. Actually, you don't have to. You could also be very much like Fluttershy and just softly and gently paint the canvas in for the bronies and the pony lovers out there. I did. I shouted you out. Did you feel the love? Did you feel it? I got love in my heart today. Getting up on Acrylic April. If you don't know, it's our 30-day free painting program. Now, those will all have their mini books released the day before the class so that you guys can
what do we do?
Have everything you need. I'm going to raise this up.
What are we doing in the next step?
In the next step, we're going to take a ruler and we're going to measure out a simple grid. If you want a reference, that is the simple grid that is on the website in the link. I'm sure the moderators will drop it for the live chat now. For the replay people, again, try to find that more button with the dots that opens up more. I don't know why they hide it, but it is there. And if not, make a comment saying I can't find it, and I'll just see your comment and share the link with you. So one way or another, we'll get you there. I'm going to take a big ruler. This is the big ruler.
That's a very unusual. What is that ruler?
This is a T-square, but this is my big Westcott AT24 ruler. I'm going to take a chalk pencil. I'm using the Cretacolor white pastel, but you could use chalkboard chalk. So don't feel at all weird. And I'm going to make a mark at the halfway point, which is 8 inches. And then I'm going to come to 16. I'm going to divide 16 in half again. That's 12 inches. And I'm going to go between 1 and 8 inches and divide that in half. And that's 4 inches. And then we make lines. You do that. You go line. And what a simple grid is to a complicated grid is it allows us to break down zones of our surface into smaller, more digestible bits. So that when we're drawing or trying to lay out basic structure, we're not getting confused or lost in all of the details. It's easy to get lost in the details of a painting. Mm-hmm. Also, apparently, not easy to line up a T-square today. Now, I'm going to do a similar thing here. I have 1 to 20 inches, so divide it in half. That's 10. Between 1 and 10 inches, if I'm going to divide that in half, that is 5 inches. And between 10 and 20 inches divided in half is 15 inches. Why am I telling you that? I don't know. You probably know how to divide things in half.
Well, we don't teach maths.
Seriously, and that's smart.
And don't claim to know them all that well.
John could teach maths, but he's not reliable.
Look, I was a theoretical physicist.
Yeah, but you said take algebra trig with me, and then we can be in class together. It'll be fun. I'll help you out.
Well,
you know who helped me out? Ryan Van Zanen. That's who helped me out. Because he got sick of me crying over math. Oh my gosh. John talked me into like going way above the math class I wish to take. I mean, I'm kind of glad I took it because it was an interesting emotional experience, but I don't feel like I took away much more than that.
You know more about math.
Not really. I know more about who I am in relationship to math. Is what I know.
That's a good thing to know, though.
It is a good thing to know. And I know that you are not reliable as a math tutor.
No, this is true. But I knew that.
He used to be like, I'd be like, the teacher's like, where's John? And I'd be like, I'll look for him. He'd come rollerblading in class. If you go to Prairie View A&M and wonder why there's a rollerblading rule, we did it. Okay. So this is your 4-inch, your 8-inch, and your 12-inch line. This is your 5, 10, and 15. So we're going to go up here on this top row on the 8-inch area, and we're going to draw in the top of our fence post. Doesn't have to be particularly perfect. We're just going to say, all right, there's a top of a fence post. I'm going to make an ellipse. And that ellipse will have a bit of a kind of hewn in moment because they do that on these fence posts. I'm actually very familiar with this type of fence post because my family had a sheep ranch. And it had weird made from log posts all over the place. I'm going to bring this line down. And it's okay, I'm going to take it to the bottom. And the reason I'm going to take it to the bottom, even though we're going to have plants and stuff, is that you can see enough of it to need to worry about it.
Gotcha.
You do not have to make it, because it's made from a log and it's hewn, it's not machine worked. Your post can be kind of rustic, hot, messy. It's wonderful. Now below this line and coming down to about this zone, in the same square, we're going to do a circle. Maybe make it a little more round. And that is where the other post will be exiting this fence. These are the side bars that are keeping something in, right, that we have. There's a little tube that goes into that. Bring that out. And then it widens out. We don't see the hewn on it. And it comes off right here. Isn't that great?
Yeah. I say that like I have any idea what you're doing.
Or drawn fence posts. Who doesn't want to draw a fence post? This one up here, I love this opening, and it's really right about here in the center. So see how I'm not taking in everything. I'm just like, what's in this square?
This seems like something to do with perspective.
This is perspective. Yes, this is easy perspective, though. So I'm going to just make a nice little round circle. And because of perspective, I can see some of into the hole, but not all of it. I'm going to make a little bit of a peek through. And what that is the bit of sky that we can see out there. Now, coming off here and really into the bushes this direction is another post. So I'm going to bring this line this way. We're going to be covering, guys, with a lot of trees and stuff. So don't be worried about this post. If you did the birds with me, you know where we're going. And I'm going to round this around, and this sort of shows that it's got its hewn, which really says that one does too, even though we can't see it. We don't got to worry about, hi, top of my head.
I hit the wrong button.
We don't really got to worry about all the flowers or birds or anything that could be in there. At this point, we are just going to worry about this major structure because honestly, weirdly, it's the subject of our painting. What is our painting about today? Fence post. How awesome is that? Ready to call it a step and take a picture?
Sure.
Call it a step and take a picture. So if you're wondering what I'm talking about on the reference, on the website, you have your version that you can get, and it matches the dimensions and size relationship of a 16 by 20 canvas and has it pre-gridded out for you. So you don't have to worry about that. If you don't want to deal with that, we have traceables. And all you got to do is use the tiling feature on your printer. So that is what that is. All right, step 3. So we're going to paint in some background stuff, you know, because we can't get into plants or everything. We're going to do what's called blocking in. Blocking in is where we create kind of darker values in hues. That's the color of something. In the hues of the objects, they're probably their mid to second lightest shadow. And it helps hold our space. So like up here, we'll have a little bit of gray for sky. Our fence post will be a mix of brown and black, and down here we'll be doing a mix of brown and green, quite dark. We'll probably start the brown and green, about here on it. So that is our general plan. And to do that, let's get a fairly large brush, but that we have control over, right? Because we don't want to be spending forever. I'll temporarily use, I have a nice big number 30 Art Sherpa. You can use any size brush you want, but if I were to use a brush this size, it would be a very long time for me to paint all of this. And since I don't want to do that to you guys, right? I won't. I'm going to put out my green. And since I know it's going to be next to my brown, I'm going to put it next to where I had the brown paint out. And I'm going to lose my cap and make a big green squidge on my thumb. Fantastic. Fantastic. I need to heat and sip my coffee soon. I feel like the need for caffeine. I feel the need for caffeine. Yeah. I'm going to put out some.
What you doing there?
I think I'm going to put out a little ultramarine blue. I'm going to show you a neat trick here to get a nice soft gray sky. And I'm going to smidge out maybe a little phthalo blue. Smidge. Just so that I can kind of make that ultramarine nicer. And I'm going to add a little Mars black and titanium white to the palette, and that's what I need for the next stage. Not bad. And I'll go over these colors again if you're painting along live so that they don't feel confusing or overwhelming. And I'm not going to put out any yellow at this stage because, again, these are all the deepest values. So, burnt sienna, phthalo green, titanium white, Mars black, ultramarine blue, phthalo blue. If you only have one of these, it's okay. I'm going to get my big chunky brush wet, drag off the extra, and let's start with this gray sky. So I'm going to take my phthalo blue and kind of mix it into my ultramarine blue and come over to my brown. And when these are mixed together, they make a really lovely gray, which you'll start to see when you add white to it. I'm loosely mixing these, and I'm going to bring this to right around below the 5-inch mark. Right? A little bit of the blue. I'm stroking that down at an angle. I might want a little more white into it. Isn't that nice? Kind of implies a blustery day without doing too much work to bluster the day. So lovely. Get a little more water on my brush. More white on my paint. Come across here. And again, I'll be painting my fence post with the brown and black, so that'll be easy to get back. Probably going to want to make this much lighter, but I can hit that at another stage.
Now the brown underneath this provides a better surface for all of this paint to adhere to.
It's a better surface for the paint to adhere to, and the brown coming through creates color harmonies with what's on top of it.
Gotcha.
Because some of the paint is a little bit transparent. Again, just bring that down. So you could just do burnt sienna and ultramarine blue, but if you have both phthalo blue and a little ultramarine, you can get a slightly different kind of gray sky using both of them. I'm going to come back here with more white because I do want the sky to be a bit lighter. Just brush down at an angle, some streak. I get it where I want it to be. I may let that have a smidge of a dry. I can come back and put that fence post in. And then from here down, I'm going to make a very dark green. So let's rinse out our brush because it's got a lot of white in it. And that won't be a very dark green, will it? We're going to do a very dark green. So the dark green is burnt sienna and phthalo green. Now we're going to do an interesting and important thing. Up here, I'm going to kind of do a flicking motion with my brush. Up into the blue. See that kind of curve to the stroke?
Yeah.
That's just creating kind of a random uneven line. All of this is going to get painted over, but if we made a really straight bar line across, that would show up on our layers as we went out. And if you were new to painting, you would think, oh, I could probably do that. But you cannot, because it'll make a stripe. You don't want a stripe, except on a Tigger. So again, just making some randomy lines so that our distant world doesn't have a stripe. Let's keep the stripes for the tigers. Everything else is kind of dark, 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 dark green. Like all on this side, like right here, all green. And the brown is, again, helping these paints be darker and richer. So that was another reason to do that. And one of the things is sometimes when you're new to painting, you don't know about how acrylic layers. And how layers is one of our greatest tools for creating depth in paintings that maybe have more of an oil feel to them. Now there's a lot of plants and there's a lot of stuff that'll be on top of this.
This is very dark.
Yeah. You want this to be quite dark because this is the shading between your plants, which is quite dark. It may not even be dark enough.
Now, why didn't you
darkness,
just
my
use
old
black?
friend. Because the green gives a little more vibrancy. We can always put black in a spot where we really want to exaggerate the shadow, but in the shadow, there's still light through the plants, there's still leaves, so everything would never just be perfectly anything. This is a great way to start.
Now, on your difficulty scale 1 to 3, where do you think this one falls?
I think this is 1.5 hoots.
1.5.
I rated it 2, but you guys, because if you do the mini book, it's a 1 all the way. It's no harder than the little red birds, but you know, if you're brand new first day painting, it might feel like more of a 2 hoot to you. And to that end, we let you guys rate. So I rate my difficulty, but you guys are allowed to come on the website and tell me what you felt it was. And for other people painting it. So that's how we are. We'll let you guys say, no, I feel it was harder for me.
Lacey says, thank you for the gridding method. It really helps her.
I very much like it. You don't always need to do it. But it can be a great way when you've got a very simple composition to do, and then where you grid every 1 inch when you've got a complicated composition to do. It's a good art tool. It's the bridge between traceables and just getting to a place where you're looking and freehanding. All right, so we're just there. And again, all I'm trying to do is just make sure that the major objects have the colors, the hues that they should have. Now I might need to turn this to the side. And I'm turning my surface to the side because it's a better idea to turn your canvas than your body. I like to make it kind of uneven, so I'll come back with like little pops of green. See what I do?
Yeah.
And it's very dark.
Really layering the green in there.
I am really layering the green in there.
And one of the things that the camera, it will struggle. I'm gonna crank the camera up here, but it will struggle to capture is how transparent this green is. I'm gonna actually zoom in because you can kind of see it here. You can see this is a very transparent green, so that the muddled browns underneath it really play into it.
Now, I could paint my fence posts with this brush, and I will do most of them with it, but I may have to switch to a round or a brush that gives me a little more edge control. We'll see how it goes. The fence post is basically black and brown together to start. Kind of like a chocolate.
Huh. Now, is it like a Hershey chocolate or a Lindor chocolate?
I'd say it's like a dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate.
Yeah,
Well,
it's like a
makes
Whole Foods chocolate.
Yeah.
The
Like
chocolate where people are like, I bought you chocolate, and then you're like, oh, it's from Whole Foods. Thank you.
Well, no, they get the cool
No.
chocolate-covered
No.
almonds.
No Whole Foods chocolate. It's not cool. It's not cool. It's not cute. Don't do it. It's like, oh, okay. I see you think I need some healthy chocolate. Thank you. Like you're willing to acknowledge my need for chocolate, but you're just not willing to give me the chocolate I actually want.
You went to Lindor.
Yeah, I want the good milk chocolate. I don't want the flavonoids. What? I don't want that. Why ruin chocolate? Oh, I have no feelings on this at all. I've never ever had anyone give me Whole Food. John sometimes likes the dark chocolate, and his bar looks like my bar. And Spider put it best. My son accidentally ran into it, and he took a bite of the chocolate, and then it just starts coming out of his mouth. He's like, "Ah, it's spoiled." I look at it. I'm like, "No, it's just 95% cacao." And he's like, "What is cacao? Is it like cacao?"
They did not like my organic Whole Foods dark chocolate.
Didn't love it. And you know why John ate it?
I
Because no one else would eat it. He was like, he just wanted to know he had his chocolate. And the only defensible candy in chocolate was licorice candy. And milk. No, I mean dark chocolate, dark chocolate.
Well, I mean, if your favorite jelly bean is the licorice ones, then you get all the licorice ones. Because like, very few other people are gonna be in competition for your licorice preference.
Man, I don't really have any. I don't have any words for what you're doing with the chocolate. I really don't. I think it's immoral. I think it's just immoral.
You're just painting that fence post.
I mean, that is something like, there's a lot of things I won't go to war on Facebook over, but I will go to war on chocolate. So, all right.
There it is, a post.
More posts.
There's more.
Yeah, and we'll be neatening these up as we paint. We just are saying there's some posts here.
These posts need reference.
They exist. And so that's as we're painting, we're putting darker colors on.
Posts in the grass.
There's posts in the grass. We'll still put the cool top on the post in a minute, but that's all we got to do. This is called blocking in. It's like a very messy, crazy stage of any painting. Not as messy as what that brush just did in my hand. That was wild.
When you were
I need new water and a heated up coffee.
That little well, I'm gonna put up a I'll put up a step and take a photo and do all that. Can you tell them about the pencil that you used and then what we're gonna do in the next step?
Yeah. So the pencil that I use is a Cretacolor white pastel pencil. So it's just like a very fancy chalk for chalkboards. Instead of just talc and some stuff, it's a lovely pigment. And where did it go? Like I had the good one. Yeah. Oh, there. Okay. So it's this one right here. So this one's General's pastel chalk, and then one of these is a Cretacolor. A bunch of companies make them, and basically you're just looking for the one that says pastel chalk, and it shouldn't be more than $3 for a single pencil. Like at the highest end, like if you accidentally bought somebody's super fine art material and you got the pastel version of it, it should never be more than like $3. If it is, I would look for another version. Yes, thank you. All right, so I do want to dry this. In my next step, what we're going to do in step 4 is start to define kind of this background area. So it's a little bit of plant. We're going to take a little bit of the distant diffused plants down around the fence. And I want to do that because that way I can put things kind of the fence on top of it. So just in the layering of the painting. It's a good way I can tune in anything that I want to in sky and everything. And it's basically the same colors, except we're going to add some yellow.
Yeah?
Sorry.
That's okay. You're going to add some yellow. I'm going to let you do a quick dry, and then I'm going to leave step 4 up until we get all this, until we get to the step 4 in.
So we can find it again?
Yeah.
Step 4 is forever.
This is all pre-4.
Yeah. This is all pre-4 thinking. Pre-4 thinking. Put out some more green. And I've got some brown out. So what I have out now is Ultramarine Blue, Phthalo Blue, Burnt Sienna, Mars Black, Titanium White, Cad Yellow Medium, and Phthalo Green. I'm going to be using some kind of big scruffy brushes to be painting this in because I'm going to want a diffused effect. So I'll probably get into a couple of my favorites. But here's what I'm going to say on brushes. And until we get the brush guide done, I want you guys to think about it like this, especially when you're in acrylic April. I'm going to tell you what the brush is made of and its general size. A lot of times, many brush companies have very comparable brushes across a variety of prices. And if you know the correct terms, and I'll tell you the brand, but I do want you guys to realize, even as I move into making more brushes and stuff like this, that brands, mine, anybody's, it's still more important you understand what you're looking for, because you never know when you're going to be stuck in an area you can't get that particular brand, or you're going to be in a place where you can't budget it, or you have to make different decisions. So we're going to try to inform you so you can make decisions based on all those factors, right? While still telling you everything you need to know. So let's start out. I'm going to grab a pretty big bright, I think. Let's see what big brights I have. Oh, what big brights you have. One of my brushes just fell off the back of the table. That was pretty funny. It was like, no, I cannot take it anymore. Hog. I think I'm going to do a hog.
Okay.
I'm going to do a hog. So this type of brush is called a chunking hog, and it's, that just means it's from the back of the bore and they're curved. These are also interlocked, and, it's a pretty high quality one, but you can find these in everything. Whenever you get a natural bore bristle brush like this is a round number 12. Silverstone, but whenever you get a natural brush like this, you want to definitely wash it before you use it the first time. Thank you, sweetheart. My little daughter was here being awesome and helpful. So let's start painting in our distant stuff and stuff.
All right.
Nope, gonna sip my coffee for a second. You have a question for me? I want to sip my coffee.
I'm sure I do here. They were asking about the pencil, which you did.
Yes, I did.
The gritting method helped. It did. They were asking about the device, I think, which was your T-square. That you were using earlier.
This is a Westcott, probably. Yep. Westcott makes these. Pacific Arc makes some really good ones that are economical. This is a 24-inch. If you're painting bigger canvases, you want this size. If you're painting smaller canvases, you can do one of the plastic 12-inch ones, which are just a few. Oh, more coffee. Any more? Excuses to drink coffee. It's live and I want coffee.
Yep. It happens. So, coffee is a good life.
It just makes my life feel better. Let's kind of start this guy up. I'm going to get this brush a little bit wet. Let's see, it's just you could do a bright though. You could do other sizes. I'm going to make sure the brush doesn't carry too much water. And let's get a little of the white on here. And right here I had the mix. Remember, this was the Ultramarine Blue, the Phthalo Blue, and a little Burnt Sienna. So that's already here for me. And if I want to come here on the edge of the sky and brush in sort of a lighter space, I can now. I got a little control, and because the base is here, it's pretty easy to do, isn't it? So I can lighten that value up easily, with no difficulty. Lighten that value up. It's quite light. And sometimes those things are really hard to capture, so you just give yourself a minute to capture those layers.
Oh yeah.
Get that sense of what's going on. There we go. So that's that perfect kind of day. I'm going to rinse out. I want all the pigment out of my brush. All's the pigment out. And we're going to do some distant brown and green. A little more burnt sienna and phthalo green. And then I'm going to make soft, little uneven marks. These will come really even above the fence post a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I want more brown in it, which just means I'm trying to make it more neutral and sort of dark and distant. I'm using look at what a hot mess my brush is. If your expectation that these things stay beautiful, when you buy them, they have all this cornstarch in them and they're taken to this beautiful point. And the minute you use them, they go, ah! But when you learn to recognize that the is maybe a good thing, that's when it all comes together. I'll bring some of this green very close into the fence because down into the pole. Because I want it to have a nice coverage. And I'll take it down here just a bit. And again, I can paint the fence post back out over the green. So anything I've got going on, it will work quite well. Let's come across here. Similar stuff. Big brush. Big brush. Now, I do love this number 12 Silverstone. There is a Simply Simmons Chunking Hog brush. That's a very good comparable alternative. That's like $3. So, don't get stressed on that stuff. And it should be at Michael's for sure. And online, like a bunch of places like Dick Blick and stuff. So. And Raphael makes some. A bunch of companies make some good versions. I'm sure Princeton has some. But you see how this kind of like distant little weird background, it's far away. Now when I get a little of my yellow into it, it's going to give me a different level of green. I can come here and lightly pick up some of the far away bits. See how I'm doing? Just some. These light marks, I'm not pressing hard. And the way that they're random and loose like this makes things seem kind of out of focus and far away, which we want, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
We want them to seem sort of out of focus and far, far away. Still distinctly plants, perhaps. You can even get a little white into it if you want to. Break up some of the monotony. Don't take away all your dark colors because the dark is what helps us see the light. Which I used to say was like in life, but people have been like so problematic lately. I've now decided the dark does not help us see the light. Everybody could just be nice. Life lessons aside, I think I've had enough.
Yep.
Everybody treat each other well. Sit down and time out. I'm not in charge of anything, so no danger.
The plant you're painting may be poison hemlock.
What?
Huh.
What? What? Not milkweed, then I take it. Not Queen Anne's lace. Poison hemlock. Awesome.
Queen Anne's lace. Could be Queen Anne's lace. Could be Queen Anne's lace.
Could be poison hemlock.
I saw Queen Anne's lace come up earlier, and then I just saw someone say,
if you
poison hemlock.
Whatever safety precautions should be taken with poison hemlock, do that in life.
Okay.
Now, coming down through here, I'm going to definitely add some lighter value.
Apparently, it has another name that I can't say.
Because it's a bad name? Bad
No,
word?
because it's Latin.
Oh. It's a bad word.
But apparently, the only other way to say it is poison hemlock.
I'm taking it.
Or hemlock.
Eat it.
Don't eat it.
It looks like something you would eat, but maybe that's why it's overgrown on this fence, is everything said, yeah, I'm not touching that.
Apparently, it's much bigger than Queen Anne's lace.
Okay. It was real pretty.
It's very pretty, yeah.
And it's probably poisonous, so we don't eat it, so that's okay.
The reason it got pretty is it was poisonous. It was like, you're not eating me.
You're not eating me. I'm going to come into my fence here and go ahead and add that little bit of green now, because I've got it mixed up, right? So I can add it with this stage. And it can even go a little bit over my fence because I can come and put that back pretty easily. I just want to make sure that I've got a little pop of green. Now here, back here,
Yeah.
let's get some white going into that green we've mixed. Pretty serious stuff. Right, maybe a little yellow. Very light. Even lighter. That's too much yellow. Lighter. So light. I don't want to take out all the dark color. No, I don't. But I want this to feel somewhat uneven. Notice that I'm randomizing my brush strokes.
I do.
Right, this is the kind of background. Very light wigglies. Light wigglies. Be light with your wigglies. All right, come down here, light wigglies. Sometimes more yellow. Break it up. Now I'm just tapping that. Tap it. Oh, that's fun. Now in the distance, we also have some very light white. So I'll come here and I will let my white even have a little of the blue and green on it. It's just far away. So it wouldn't be pure white. And I'm loading it on my brush. Kind of loosely. But remember, you don't want it to be a bright white. For it to feel far away, it has to have a bit of that diminishing of saturation. And that's what you see me trying to do here, is make sure I'm diminished in my saturation. And I'm just using the fact that this brush has just gone, because that's what it looks like to our eyes a little bit, isn't it? A little bit of this white, distant space. Very distant. Now we're going to be putting different flowers in more detail up close, and those will seem closer to us. And these being kind of messy and far away,
Yeah.
right? That's going to really help us create that sense of scale in this painting. There's our distant flowers. You can play with that, you know. Have fun. See that there? So far away.
So nice.
Those flowers are so far away. Okay. Let's call this a step.
We can do that.
Call it a step.
All right. You need to
Step
dry
by
it
step.
before we call it a step?
Yeah, let's try it before
You
we call
try
it a
it,
step.
and then
Sorry
we'll
if I
call it a
yelled in
step.
your ear, y'all.
We have a limiter.
Sorry.
So, if you're looking for information on how you can do this project, if you look in the links in the description down below, you may have to click the More button to get that to drop down. You'll find there's a link to our website, www.TheArtSherpa.com, and you can find out about all the things that we do there. There's a calendar that shows our upcoming stuff, the events that are coming. There is an events link that shows all of our upcoming retreats and locations where we're going to be doing things. There is, I don't know, I think our shop is pretty empty right now. We're moving a bunch of stuff to Amazon, so you guys should check out Amazon. We're going to have stuff up there soon.
Okay.
Getting it. I'm an unreliable shipper.
Oh my goodness. Just not for nothing. And if you're an ATC club, they're on the way.
That's right. We got new shipping updates on that stuff.
Yeah,
All right.
finally got some stuff like kind of, so it's on the way to you. So if you've been waiting on ACCs, and if you don't see them in the next like week and a half or so, email us at support@theartsherpa.com. Let us know.
Now tell us what, dear Sherpa, is in step 5.
Step 5 is going to be these more detailed flowers through here and back here. So what I'll say to you is, if you look at this, and I'll move this out of the way so it doesn't trip over and electrocute us all. So if you're looking here, right, it's okay because they can see, right? Because you can print out the reference. Just for a minute, look at the fence. If you're ever trying to decide how to paint a photograph, and there's other ways to do this. This is just a real easy way for new artist brains to work it out. That which is furthest away, we paint first, right? So we painted these really distant flowers, which are back here and back here. Now there's sort of almost a mid-ground flower behind the fence, behind this structure and this structure and this structure, back here and coming up over the fence. Now these kind of cross in front. So I will be doing that after the fence is in, and this area is done after the fence is in, because if you look, it's layered over the wood fence. So it has to go, if you're wondering, these background flowers, fence, 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 then this grouping here. If you're ever wondering, how would you order something in a painting if you're really new to it and not lose track of it? And yeah, you can do things in different orders for sure, but it's easier when you're further along in the painting journey to break up the layers in out of order kind of process. But when you're real new, it's best just to keep it in order, because you can always paint over a mistake or something that you did as you come forward in the layers, but it's hard to go back and add a little detail in. Sometimes. Nothing's really absolute in art. Okay. More coffee.
Coffee.
Now I've got stems and flowers and things to think about, and I could do them a bunch of different ways. I'm going to attempt them in my cat's tongue first. This is a number 8 cat's tongue from the Art Sherpa line. If you don't have this brush, you could use a filbert on its edge. You could use a bright or a flat on its edge, or you could use a round brush. But what you want is something that gives you a line you have control over. So I'm going to get a little of my yellow and green mixture here. I'm adding water to my brush so I have nice flow of the paint. Hopefully I washed it out well so it'll behave nicely for me. And I'm going to come here and paint in on the toe of the brush some of these little stems on the toe. The toe is the tip. If you're not familiar with the toe of a brush, it's the tip.
Ah.
Bring one up here. And we've got a few here. I can go over my fence post because I know I'm painting that back in, right? Make sure I'm going to feel this edge of this brush, make sure it's okay. Yeah, it's good. Sometimes they, if I don't get them cleaned out well, they don't hold their edge nicely. That's the thing to know about your brushes. You got to keep them clean. This is the yellow, green, and white, and I'm making lots of little lines. This is to speak to all the stems that could be back here. Don't worry too much about making them perfect. That's really not the point. The lines are what really hold our attention. You do want to make sure that you're sort of filling it in, and then defining anywhere it needs to be defined. Making sure I'm good. I've got a little crown behind that. I'm going to rinse out, and I'm going to get a little of my burnt sienna and my phthalo green and some of my cad yellow. No white. And I'm going to tap in on the toe some little pull stroke leaves going into the stem. Can you guys see these? I need more yellow, and if I do, I'll get it. You're going to place these around on the stems. Now we have a few layers of these. You can go darker green where it's necessary, lighter green where it's necessary. What you want to do is just show that these leaves are zippered in. Zippered is exactly kind of what you'd visualize, little leaves that are kind of a little touch pull. I get these from light pressure, not pressing on the brush particularly hard. And I can also fill in this space with lots of these little tiny leaves. Mixing around different greens. So this is, I guess, how you paint poison hemlock leaves. Yay, that! Complete weirdness. You know, if I want to, I can come down here and make sure that around my fence post with this brush, things are kind of close to the fence. Ah, sorry. That was really enjoyable for me, but may not have been as fun for you. That's just a little.
These are the very dark undercolor.
Yeah.
Undertones. Oh, there's some.
You know, we know that the stem color is quite light. And so that's very nice for us because if we want to layer things, we can just layer up leaves and stems. In these middle ranges. Just creating little bits of drama. Even on these stems here. I'm just going around filling in these little leaves where there's stems. Right. Step back and take a look at it. You know, you've got to be like, is that working? Yeah, that actually is, because it looks like what we're getting into.
Yeah.
Now, when I have that, right, I can come in with this brush, and I'm going to put some of my distant flowers, and I'm again, let it get into that yellow-green, but quite light. Okay, if it gets a little of even the blue into it, right? We just want kind of a not white saturated, but yet lighter than the background area. Dutchy Dutch. Little bits of crowns, right? And it does. It looks a little like crowns to me, which I guess is why I thought it was Queen's Anne lace.
Mm-hmm.
Is I thought that there was little crowns going on.
Now we have a crew of botanists. So as I was reading, now this is just
we have a crew of them.
A crew of them, and they were telling me as I read as it came by. So props to the Sherpettes here. Apparently these two flowers have a very similar family. They're a hollow stem something, but the Queen Anne's lace is smaller, and the hemlock gets larger, and I guess gets maybe some purples in it.
How cool is that?
And so they're very
I would
similar.
get hurt in nature because I would pick it.
I imagine it's like, you know, like I don't know much about it. I would refer you to a authoritaire, a
Authority?
Yes, somebody who knows something about plants, which I clearly do not, except don't touch them.
You're using like shark theory here. Like this is John's policy on sharks as well. Don't touch it.
If you go in the ocean, expect to be bit.
So you're seeing me kind of define these, and I'm trying to just make sure that this space where I am defining these a little bit. All right. And it's not a pure white.
Ooh, hemlock will blister your skin.
Don't pick it.
Don't touch it.
It's just another don't touch it. Where I'm coming down into the dark grass, I might kind of add a little more blue. Did you guys see to the mix there? A little ultramarine blue.
I saw the...
I want it to be in shadow, that's what I would do is add a little ultramarine blue in this area.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to rinse this brush out. I'm going to get my handy dandy for acrylic April brush. This is a number 6 Cambridge round. Now the issue with the Cambridge is they're sold out in a lot of places and they may be discontinued. Here's the not problem. The Simply Simmons number 6 round is a perfect fine replacement for it, so don't even worry about it. You're looking for the chunking hog. That's the type of bristle. I'm going to get this nice and wet, and I'm going to come here and add a little bit of white. Not totally pure white, but much brighter on the tip of this brush.
Get back over there.
And I'm going to find a way to make little defined flowers here. See how we're doing?
Yeah, I have to adjust the camera there for the...
This is how we find their shape.
Background.
This is a super fun... I like this painting for this reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's just going to be... that sort of happy painting that you can get when you're doing kind of country core, right? It's a little bit of country core here. Not quite cottage core, but it is country core. Because we love it and it feels like simpler times, which we all sometimes romanticize the simpler times, don't we? Then I remember simpler times meant I didn't get ibuprofen, and then I'm much less romantic about it.
You know,
it's like Little House on the Prairie is great till you really think about it.
I have to say, you know, like in general, technology has continued to improve my life. I would not want to go back to not having Apple devices. That would just be less fun in general. GPS, good thing.
There we go. Don't those look beautiful? Just a nice painting. And even with the highlight as I'm going forward, I can go highlight in blue. It's lighter, but it's still a little more in shadow. There's not light specifically shining on it. So this is the way we sometimes paint white on white on white. You need white on white on white. And there we go. Sometimes I like to come in and tuck some implied, something's tucked in, but just a little bit, as you do. Super happy with that.
That looks nice.
It looks nice, and we're happy, and we got that sort of gesture and feeling of it. We stayed painterly, which is the best, and it looks amazing when you get back from it. So, Step?
You dry it?
I could dry it.
You could dry it for a Step? And I'll tell them about stuff.
Okay, you're going to tell them about stuff, and I'm going to dry it.
Stuff. The esoteric thing of the universe. Stuff. If you want to know more about stuff, you can click in the link in the description down below where all the stuff is. And if you don't want to click on the link, that's okay too. But you should click on the subscribe button because the subscribe button, ta-da, subscribe button, is really good. It lets you know when stuff's happening. It keeps you in the loop.
Text Honey and have her get me
Wow.
warm coffee and fresh water.
Let's do that next. Tell them what we're doing in the next step.
So in the next step, we're going to paint the fence. And we're going to be using a fan brush and value. We're going to paint several different hues. We're going to be doing wood. Oh, what? Oh, I'm sorry. I just kept handing John things and it wasn't what he needed. He just kept reaching and I'm like, what do you want? The painting, so we can take the step-by-step photos, so we can write up the mini books so you can have an easier time painting at home. Now, these mini books do not exist before 2021. This is a new thing we started this year and trying to make. Every year we try to get better at what we do and not be stagnant. We try to be ever-changing and ever-improving. And one of the things that I felt after having taught a long time online is that as students, you guys would have an easier time if you had two learning methods available to you, one which is the video, right? And the other is the written out instructions because it allows several different types of learning to occur. And I think learning should be multi-layered, especially when you're trying to learn something creative. Like shedding like crazy today. Do you ever have a day where you're like, shed? Okay, so the fence. First thing on the fence, I'm going to get my cat's tongue out because we have to sort of define some general stuff about it. And the fence is, let's just make some brown and black and we'll get a little white. That'll give us kind of an off thing and we'll come here and talk about that fine outline of the fence. Notice that I'm not doing a straight line. I'm trying to keep it kind of rustic. A little bit of a curve in because it's hewn there. Doesn't have to be a perfectly straight line, which is what I love about this. So if you have a less than steady hand, you're going to have a great experience even so. The top of the fence post will be lighter. And then come around here and kind of talk about this opening. And then since this opening is like this, I'm going to try to make this opening kind of similar in size and scale, just because they would be. All right. I've got this fence post coming off here. Oh, wonderful. And bring a little black and brown and white coming off. And then it has a bit of a perspective happening. So I'm really kind of doing what we did initially, but in a more refined way. Little ellipse here, see how it's like a little comma. Now inside the fence post, we're going to come back with a little black and I'm going to curl that stroke. Oh, thank you. Thank you. 20 seconds because it's down low. I've been power drinking the coffee today.
Coffeeing up.
Right, I just want to have this be a peak, and then we know that the other fence post is sort of here as well. So these things are peaking in relationship to each other, and that is what tells the story. Right.
Now, when you're doing this gridding method, can you draw over things then redraw them?
Absolutely, especially if you use chalk. If you're using chalk, you're going to have a much easier time to draw over and then come back and draw again. I'm going to bring a little post into this hole here. And then the next part of my post is just a little bigger. There's that. That is that set of posts kind of basically sort of thoughtfully put back in. Thank you. I'm going to sip coffee, and I need more water than that. I need two. Did this one too? Oh, I see you got me this one. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that one too. 3 is good. 3 is a magic number. So we got the We have our little reference there, which is great. I'm going to sip my coffee. You stretch and move your neck or head if you need to.
It's a good time to do that.
It's a very good time to do that.
Samir was thanking you for the mini book. They're going to looking forward to having it out for this.
Oh, it will really help. I'm going to put out some Cad Red medium. I like to do that when I'm playing with woods because orange into brown is so great. And also red into black is so great.
Now you put some size references for the brush in the links below.
Yeah. So the exact links and that information comes out, and brands and all of that. But I just want you guys to know that I will not hide brands or exact makes or any of that from you, but you're not stuck there. So if you live in another country and you can't get those brushes, you live in an area that doesn't have an art store, it's just not a big deal. Using what you have is the most important thing first. And then figuring out, because you can make anything work, you just have to get to know your tools, which is why I always encourage that doodle time, so that when you doodle and play with your paint, you're getting to know your tools and what they will and won't do. So you're always grabbing the tool that you know does the technique best.
Sounds good.
All right, let's paint some values. I'm still going to keep cat's tonguing it, as you do. So there's this wonderful, very weathered wood effect. I'm going to add a little ultramarine blue to my Mars black and my burnt sienna. And if you're just coming in, I have phthalo blue, ultramarine blue, phthalo green, cad yellow medium, cad red medium, titanium white, Mars black, and burnt sienna. And this mix here is burnt sienna, Mars black, and a little bit of the ultramarine. I'm going to come here and I'm going to paint this little rough space, very rough. We'll be coming back with a hog brush and some dry brushing techniques. This is just a nice way to get started in capturing the value, right, as we do. Add a little light value right there at that opening. Now, coming down the front, it is true that we have a lot of nice gray, browns, and some really interesting sort of wood colors. But we also have, if you'll notice, besides the weathering, we have some yellow into that. And so we really get to play with those sort of hues and values in the wood. It's a good time to do it. I'm adding yellow in where the wood might have more yellow. And again, we're just being rough about it. So if you take your cad yellow over to your burnt sienna, get almost an ochre. You add white to it. It really kind of goes there. So we're just, I'm dry brushing. I might come back into a little bit of the brown and gray. Dry brushing. Add a little black in there. Get black and brown again. Now at the base, right, things are much more in shadow. So I'm going to add more blue and black. I'm going to go black around where this fence pole is. So just capturing those. And then there's kind of a black, brown and blue gray wood. So this is sort of a Mars black, burnt sienna, ultramarine, blue lightened with white here. Make sure you leave a nice little shadow. Brown, black, and a little bit of blue. Very much so on this back fence post. And this is dry brushing, which means I have paint on my brush, but not a lot of water, so it allows a lot of what's underneath to shine through. Making sure that that is nice and hewn.
Yeah.
Similar deal here, but maybe over here it's a little more dark. It's a little more black and blue. Then we get into a lighter value of the wood. There we go. So we're capturing these sort of general lights and darks and colors. So if I want the gray wood, burnt sienna, Mars black, ultramarine blue. If I want the warm wood, it is burnt sienna and cad yellow and a little white. And then sometimes we can even get a little orange mix into that, which we'll detail a little bit later, but it's just another place that you can go. I'm making a lighter gray value here. And you can see I'm just painting it rough. Dry brush, not a lot of water on my brush. Lets a lot of what's underneath shine through. A little rough here. Rough is important. So that is a little burnt sienna, a little cad yellow, and a little titanium white. I'm just layering up. There isn't that much here, but I like to. Tie things together. I still need that to be dark in the interior. All right, let's call this rough, this like rough layer, a rough layer. So we've roughly painted in our fence. It's roughly starting to look like wood. Everything here in the detailing pulls it in together into a wood fence. So, but try to get it here. You want your highlights to be up here at the top, maybe a little bit on this side, up top here. Pay attention to where your shadows are. They're more in this upper ellipse and around that pole. You know, dark shadow there. So you're just trying to get the general shading, general shape, general value, general hue. Generally rough.
Would you like to generally dry that before we move on to the
Nope.
next general step?
Nope, don't need to dry.
No? Okay. Fine. You tell them then what our
don't
next
need to
step
dry.
is.
You just come take this and we're going to do step 7 on the Rustic Wood Fence. I do. So we're going to grab a hog brush because that's going to really help us have a rough fence. We're going to use a fan and a round. And with these 3 brushes, we're going to create a very realistic looking wood that is a lot of fun to paint and gets a lot of that effect of why we love old fences, but doesn't cause us a lot of anxiety, which is my favorites. And it's really all about the deep shadows and the bright highlights and just capturing that texturing that we think of. And it's pretty close right now. Rough is rough.
Rough is rough.
Now I'm going to take, again, a acrylic paper brush. This is a number 8 hog. You can get any number 8 hog. It'll be fine. And I'm going to take some white and gray for my thing. If you remember, it's burnt sienna, Mars black, ultramarine blue, but I want a light value. I'm going to come here. And make sure this feels very rough and almost chopped or hewn. I like that. Now on this part of the fence, I'm going to come in with this light gray, but you'll notice that I'll start to twist the wood a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Little touches are what separate what we do a little bit. We've got that slight twist. A darker gray on this part, but that doesn't mean that we don't have to kind of be thoughtful over how we're doing that. Bringing that down roughly. I'll get some brown on there. I'll pick up my different wood colors because when I come through with the highlights and things, and I may not even need my fan today because I think I can do it with a detail. We'll see how it goes. Now I can get a little red and a little yellow and my black brown mixed together and it'll neutralize it, but it's going to make some really gorgeous wood colors. You see that there? It's a little cad yellow, cad red into your brown. And we're going to break down rough areas, rough strokes, still dry brushing. We're just making sure it feels rough. Rough. I can always add a little more yellow into that other mix. Maybe a little more brown into that. As we come down, it's just definitely a little more brown, and I'm rough about it. You can get some of your black into that, neutralize it. Keeping it rough. Keeping it rough. Keeping it rough, rough, rough.
Once you have this layer of
rough on, then you come in with a for sure at least a round brush. We may do a fan, but we'll probably just do the round because I think once we put in the shadows and the highlights, it's going to just stand out as wood so much.
Yeah. People are loving the wood texture. They think this is great.
I love painting wood. It's one of my favorites. There's like 20 ways to paint wood. I paint it with a sponge, paint it with the fan, paint it with my brush. There is no rush. That is my bad spoken word wood poem. Oh my goodness. There we go. But I'm liking that quite a lot. Just trying to keep it together. You can always come in with some black and roughly put some dots here.
Oops.
Rough, 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 rough. Just follow yourself around. Because the wood has these dark values. You capture those as well. It's quite delightful. Isn't it delightful? Yes, well, yes, it is. So delightful. Very dry brushy with the dark gray. I've got a lot of plants coming up here, so it is really okay on that one. And then I can get into this great light color that I had over here, which again was my cad yellow, my cad red, and some burnt sienna. And if I go more cad yellow, titanium white. There's a little light into the fence. under here, highlight under the hole. Look at that. Stand back from your wood fence on occasion and take a look. Oh, yes! That is what we like.
Got the fence where you want it?
Huh?
Get that fence where you want it?
You gotta get the fence where you want it. Get your fence where you want it. Yeah, you got to. Super important stuff to get the fences where you want them to be. You know, even if you're a desperado, out riding fences, you still need those fences to be what you need, you know?
You know, there are fences all over the world. I don't know if there's hemlock all over the world, but there are fences.
I love that I picked something poison to paint. That's a very strange decision of mine. What was I doing? I don't know. Get that roughness in. Oh, I like that.
Therese has a good question.
Hmm.
Complete newbie here.
Hello.
How would I know whether to dry brush or use water in different areas if I didn't have the Sherpa guidance? By the way, the fence is gorgeous.
Oh, thank you. Generally, I pick dry brushing at times when I want a rough and expressive texture. So like in rocks and trees and sometimes sand. You can use dry brushing anytime, but it's really about that sort of diffused area of the canvas where you want a lot of the paint that you put on underneath to really show through. It doesn't have a sharp edge. And when we put the sharp edges on here, you'll see what I mean. It doesn't have that crisp line. And sometimes that diffused rough line is super expressive and energetic. And if you think about it on a fence not that energetic. So sometimes it's good to get in there and get painterly with it so the fence feels like, so it's like, instead of it's like, I'm a fence, it's like, I'm a fence, right? The difference, you know, I'm a fence. I'm a fence, right?
Huh.
Say it with me. I'm a fence. Okay. So I'm going to add a little shadow along this.
I don't know. I feel like one of those is a Broadway musical. The other one is a job
Is being
that a shady
audited,
individual might have.
Right. Yeah. You want your fence to be a Broadway musical. It's the Hamilton of fences.
You know, it seems like if you add a, you know, northeastern accent, your fence may come from the city.
The
and
Harvard
arrange
yard.
for things to disappear.
My fence is in the yard. I don't know. My daughter has been doing, I'm John F. Kennedy. I mean, constantly. So, add some little texture. Now, this is not bad, right? But we can do better.
Can you?
Yes, we
Can
can. We can.
What do we do next?
So we're going to get a number 4 round because we mean business now.
Oh.
We do. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to come into one of our light grays. You know, it's definitely in our wood colors. And you're going to come along the top of the fence. And it just needs to be a very light gray. This is a weathered gray. Weathered means it's, you know, the fence was maybe a different color, but then as it aged, it lightened. And you want to kind of pull this here. You're showing that. Come along here and add that highlight. This is a sharp edge, right? That highlight really helps us determine where that sharp edge is or is not. Coming back here, take this highlight, and it is a highlight.
As I read the comments here, I see a lot of people are on the fence about this one.
They're riding the fence?
No, they've been on a fence, they sit on fences, they walk on fences.
I feel like they're riding the fence about it. They're not picking a side.
They could
side
be.
of the fence.
They're, you know, it's indefensible.
I love us. I do. Gonna add some highlights here. They're pretty bright. It's important as well here. And maybe even the top here.
Yeah, I don't want to be offensive or go on the offense, but there are so many fence puns to have.
Feel free to add to our fence pun riff here. All puns are welcome.
Except political.
Well, yeah, in the comments, I don't really care. But yeah, we try to stay out of politics because not because politics isn't okay. It's because people don't behave okay around politics.
And so many people are on the fence about it.
And so people are on the fence.
So we're just going to avoid those two fancy topics mixing
because
together.
they're too likely to get some splinters and chap everybody's hide. All right, so we have that on there. That's pretty good. That's not bad.
You did some fencing.
I'm gonna get my black, just my black, just the black.
It's just another crack in the fence.
You gotta crack your fence. Important. Add cracks and lines to your fence. Look at that. Look at that fence go. You can add some personality. It chips maybe. It's important that you also come into this space and let's get back from that and look at that. Look at that when we add those details.
The fence is here. You know what this reminds me of?
What?
Those fences like at Disneyland and theme parks where everybody's touched them and all the wood's worn down and it's super smooth like it's plastic but it's still wood.
Yeah. I doubt this fence would be super smooth.
No.
It would definitely splinter, yeah.
But it hasn't been touched by 100 million people a day.
No, because it's surrounded by some poison plant we didn't know about.
Clearly.
Disney would get sued.
They have such smart little groundskeepers, they would know it. They'd be like, oh, I know what that is from afar. And run over there and they would be like, no little kids will get blisters today.
Now, this week, our Watercolor Wednesday is happening from our second channel.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited about that. The Art Live, how to watercolor live with the Art Sherpa. So it should be pretty easy to find.
There's only one.
There's one. If you watercolor Art Sherpa, it will pull up any watercolors we've done before, but it will pull up the new channel. That channel will be dedicated to things watercolor, and that way this channel stays dedicated to things acrylic. So we're not mixing it up. I think it confuses the algorithm, and then also anytime I do a different medium, people ask me, did you quit painting acrylic? Did you quit painting watercolor? So separate but equal channels of mediums. Probably if like I pick up any other mediums, it's like, okay, we have a pastel channel now.
Oh, I like pastels.
I do too.
That was my medium of choice until I found sculpture.
It's true. I was quite good at pastels. I love pastels because they're messy.
Nothing like a stick of pigment.
In your hand.
To just get on everything.
Everything.
And then they're like, try oil sticks. They're so much better. No, then you just can't get the oil off your hands.
I really don't love oil sticks. I love soft pastels.
I like soft pastels too.
Yeah. There's some great oil stick channels, though, that are out there.
I'm not saying that I got feels about it or nothing.
Make some of these little cracks. What we know we have. A little broken up. There you go. Guys, you fenced it.
You fenced it in.
You fenced it in.
It's all done. Look at that.
Yeah, we kind of okay at this game.
That's pretty good. You're going to dry it or are we?
Nope. It doesn't need to dry.
It doesn't need to dry. It needs a step.
It's a step. So now we're going to start throwing in the foreground subject matter of the highly poisonous, don't touch them hemlock flowers, which I really had wanted this to be like a fence that you pick the flowers from, but now it's don't touch these flowers fence. But what we're going to do is we're going to just fill this all in with flowers so it becomes a wildflower kind of subject matter, with the fence post being like the central focus. And the reason the fence post, if you're interested, is the central focus is because the greatest amount of contrast is between the post and the flowers. And so that's going to be really rather lovely. Pretty much what we did before.
Yes.
Pretty much the same. So let's get into our number 8 cat's tongue. And get that wet and go back into that initial stem color, which was a little of the burnt sienna, phthalo green, cad yellow, finally to the titanium white to lighten it, where we started to make a bunch of stems and things to talk about. Making so many lines. This is going to be a minute.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, there's a lot of this.
There's some of those. We can have some of those.
Right. And the reason that there's a lot of this, and I'm going to add some fluid acrylic just to make my life easier. Sometimes when you're trying to make a lot of lines, you could add a fluid acrylic to your mix instead of heavy bodied. And then you don't have to necessarily thin as much the paint as much as just get it and go.
Get it.
Gear and go.
Everyone's very excited to have a new channel to go check out. They're like,
Are they?
What? There's new channel? What?
Yes, it's got, well, okay, it has some weird old videos for some radio station we thought we wanted to do, but then didn't do.
Oh, yeah, we did stuff.
We wanted to do a radio station.
We had ideas.
We were like, what if instead of a studying girl, it was art being painted? And then two things happened. The whole world suddenly started putting piano music to art.
Everything.
So that like threw off our chance of hitting the lo-fi segment. And then also, it just,
time.
I don't know. We weren't there, I think,
It's time.
It was just the time. And
we
so we added the watercolor channel there. And I think that that's going to be a wonderful, wonderful place to go find that. Another place that we can put some wonderful stems coming forward is through here. Like I had mentioned, we've got a lot that will cover over. So we start here. I may also want to take a little of my red and yellow and brown and make some twigglies. We're going to be adding lots of leaves, but we can apply these little twiggly lines that are also happening in the underbrush, just in general. That was the cad yellow, cad red, and brown. Let's do the first bit of zippered leaves. What leaves? Zippered leaves. Now we just make our phthalo green, cad yellow, and a little burnt sienna is going to be the mix of our leaves. The leaves are a little zippered shape. They are darker than the stems. Sometimes I add white. Layer them on each other. They should layer together. It's kind of a hot mess of layers. And I'm going to just dance around while John goes, what?
We got it.
Making little zippered leaves. And keep in mind, too, you can zipper leaves in the background like they're in the distance, as long as they're not much lighter in the background. It just adds to that texture.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's nice to do smaller little leaf strokes. You can do these if you're a precision person, you can go slowly and very carefully place each leaf. If you're an expressive person, you can come through and sort of generally go leaf, 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 leaf. Either way, you're going to get a lovely result. They may be slightly different. They're still both lovely. So be real easy with yourself, especially as you guys share these, to realize that, you know, we all have a different way that we apply paint to canvas. And it's all okay. I'm going to go darker leaf up here just for the contrast so that they show, because I do want them to show. And since I have a lighter background, then I can go darker and then change it around. I know I've got a lot of flowers to put here. There's a lot of flowers to talk about. So many. So many, many. This one needs leaves, doesn't it? Sorry, baby.
That's all right.
This one needs some leaves. There's several dimensionalities of a stem happening here, and we want to capture as much of that dimensionality as we can, so that when we layer these in, they'll feel like they're part of everything. I might come back and define some stems to help them pull forward as they want to. I'll maybe add some stems here. Coming out this way. Going into my white. Very busy here, and I think that that's an important thing to keep in mind as we're layering and doing these. How busy all this is. I'm going to go ahead and put some back on the fence that way, just because compositionally that would have been nice.
Mm-hmm.
A little thick, but add some different little stems there. And when I add another layer of stems, I can come in and add another layer of the leaves. And that's really the dance we get to do. It's fun. You can even get into the orange when you're layering the leaves, and they do give you kind of a different sort of fun green to play with. Maybe a little more dry down low. Sometimes more green, sometimes more yellow. You just keep those long, thin leaf strokes and layer those in so that everything feels full and well grown. I might move my canvas just to improve the directionality of my strokes.
Yep.
Sometimes it's helpful. Not always necessary, but sometimes helpful. You can see I change up the green. Now I'm going to get into my number 4 round. And I pull into my green and light color. It's okay to define a few stems when you're going where you want some focus to be. That's all right. Because you're trying to create that sense of a full floral event. So I may again move this for just the dimensionality of my stroke. Come here and really hit this nice and heavy with this green. I'm just grabbing my green here. It's a little darker. Add some of these around. Kind of cool, right? A little darker green leaves. So they'll disappear, but they'll add to the feeling of full plant life. Oh my goodness, so many leaves, right? But guess what we get to do next? When we get the leaves done, guess what?
What? Flowers?
Flowers.
That'll be nice. There's a lot of, a lot of leaf layer.
There's a lot of leaves and stems. It's a very busy. Sometimes when you paint something, it's like hydrangeas. There's a lot going on.
This is the foundation for the flowers, though.
This is the foundation for the flowers. And we've kind of really talked about how we're going to paint the flowers, haven't we already?
You're going to use that floofy brush.
Floofy brushes are going to let us have flowers, and we're going to build up layers. And
they actually go pretty fast, though.
It is. It's going pretty well. I may also want to, while I'm here, just compositionally, talk about maybe
bringing balance to the composition.
Some forward-facing flowers that can happen.
Oh.
So even if you don't have something, you can put them in. Right? Always feel like you've got the room to flower it up. There we go. So that's kind of nice anyways. Creating a little. There we go. All right, step.
Step.
Step. We don't need to dry it, but we do need to step it.
We do need to step it.
We do need to step it. Steppy step. Here we go. All right. So for the next part, we're going to go back and get into our big fluffy brushes and then build into details as we go. We're going to work with our off-whites and then use white as our primary focus. And that can be really nice when you're trying to create flowers. And then when you're all done, you get to hang this on your wall, have this beautiful country core kind of painting going of your old rustic fence.
All right.
I love how this is like, I'm the mama brush. I'm the baby brush. We are family. Okay, I'm fine. Things are okay.
Yeah?
They're okay, yeah.
You had to
I'm going to put out some more heavy body white paint. The fluid paint doesn't really work great for this technique. It's not its best. So I will put out the heavy body paint. If you're painting craft paint, sometimes you may have trouble with the dry brushing because your paint is very wet in its nature.
Is it?
Yes.
Ah.
So now look, these hairs, this stuff that's happening is super normal. You can wet your brush and dry your brush and reshape it, and you can go also put it in hot water and finger reshape it. But it is not uncommon for hog brushes to get a little off. Not uncommon.
You get that little crazy look in their hair.
Now I do want that off white, so I'm getting a light kind of green into the white and come up here and start.
They start looking like they got a Muppet haircut.
They got the Muppet cut. Yeah, they really do. But I love it. I don't mind it. You know, don't trim them, just reshape them. But if yours is like that, I'm just pointing out mine so that you know you're normal. You're like, oh yeah, this is like how that is. Okay. I'm tapping at little crowns of these. Sometimes we see the crown like where it's coming from, and then sometimes we don't, you know? Maybe we see the stem, maybe we don't see the stem that it's attached to. That's not really the most important part. The most important part is to fill our area with these very poisonous plants. Yep.
You
Now,
think I don't know that?
Crikey! So,
paint some flowers.
I'm going to paint some flowers. I'm going to come down here and continue to kind of create a cascade. If you look at the reference, there's almost like a fall of flowers, and I want to make sure that that's one of the things that attracted me to this as something to paint, was that there was this actual structure of blooms, and they were clustered in different places. Now, as I come down below the fence, I may get a little of my ultramarine into this. Because it's a little more in shadow.
Mm-hmm.
Shadow, no. That was like one of Alec Baldwin's weirdest roles. And yet I watch it every time it's on. What is with me? Making little out of focus flowers. We'll focus them when they need focus.
Ah.
But we don't want to focus them until they're ready for it.
Oh, thank you, Deb. She sent a wonderful sticker here. And
Oh,
thank
thank you for the support. We really appreciate it.
I've seen a lot of Sherpas out here sending us support, so thank you guys so much. We really appreciate all the chat and little super chat stuff, and
it does let us know all, like, save your messages for us in our dashboard.
And if you go to theartsherpa.com/patron, you can find out information on our patronage and how to support us there and help make this show possible.
Our patrons get to watch stuff first and tell us if it sucks. Doesn't that sound good?
That's our gratuitous self-promotion.
That's our gratuitous
check out our
self-promotion.
patronage. And maybe
Or
soon,
you could do Emoji Club if you're like, that's too much of a commitment. We got Emoji Club, which is almost no commitment at all.
very soon we're going to have stuff for sale on Amazon.
Yes, that'll be helpful.
Zon.
In the Zon? Is that like General Zod?
In the Bezos's locker.
Started on Bezos. It's a weird thing, you know. It's like Elon Musk. You know?
Dude,
I'm dreaming of the stars.
Bezos is like, Musk is much cooler than Bezos. He has like he put
Don't say
color
anything because he'll
space.
probably come and like kick us off the platform.
But I mean, but objectively speaking,
Yeah.
like the cool factor. I mean, just if you just go by name alone, Elon was born with the cooler, weirder name.
Look, if he wants to go live on Mars, I'm not gonna stop him.
He just wants the species to be interplanetary.
Yeah, that's cool.
He's
Good for him. I'm not, just all good.
What do they say? He's
I'm a Gene Roddenberry girl. I believe we should go to the stars and strange new worlds and new civilizations and to boldly go where no person has gone before.
I believe my interests are aligned with his because
Actually, I find that very humanist. No being, no sentience. Because honestly, the Federation was like a multi-being thing, and it always bothered me when they're like, "You're a person." I'm like, "They're not a person. They're a sentience.
See, just
They
picture
have
this.
our own species." And I'm very woke when it comes to alien rights.
Stay with me for a minute.
Okay.
You get to your first stop
Mm-hmm.
on the space station, and there, waiting for you, is an Art Sherpa art supply station.
Oh, that would be great.
And when
So you could paint in Starfleet?
like when you get to Mars, then you arrive, and there's like, we already have the color palette selected for you, so it matches the local rocks.
If you guys love Starfleet, I did a fan art piece of Sulu. So you could go check that out. Also, by the way, guess what, John?
What?
Guess what month it is?
It's
It's National, for I guess the U.S., it's National Women's History Month.
Oh.
And National Irish History Month.
Oh.
Which means Georgia O'Keeffe's Day.
Oh.
That's what I've decided. The Venn diagram of that is Georgia O'Keeffe Day.
Okay.
Unofficially. Or like month? I don't know. But
celebrate for as long as you care to celebrate. Oh, I think tomorrow's holy.
And tomorrow is holy?
I think so.
So, man.
There's parties out there,
So
man.
I'm going to go when we can travel again. I am going to India for holy. It's happening. I want to go. I'm going to stay at your house. I'm going to eat your food. I'm going to be with your family. You will adopt me and there'll be magnolias and I'm throw colored pigment at me. I'm just by this. Like you wear a whole white thing and then they throw colored. I
think that's a game. I
think that's a serious religious rite and I want to participate in it.
Yeah, we do it with a marker where we shoot these little.
It's not the same thing.
Paintballs at each other.
Yeah, and then they turned it into jogging, and I don't want to jog to get little bits of color thrown at me.
I like the color throwing game. I think that sport celebration. I'm not sure. I'm bad at words.
Well, and actually, we're not informed, so we're absolutely happy, to like correct our misinformation. Nobody's going to be upset at that.
No,
at all. So you'll notice that we had kind of a cascade coming down here. Where I need to have sort of more flowers maybe in the like underneath, we can come in with the blue. See how that puts flowers in the background?
I do.
We'll make sure that coming down here, there's a nice little kind of fall.
Celebration is the word that they're agreeing.
Celebration.
Celebration.
All right. So rinse out your brush. And guess what? We get to come back with the highlights.
So do you need to dry it?
I don't need to dry it.
You don't? I'm just curious. I'm always asking. Just because,
we don't even need to step. Okay, or step it. Step 10. It is a step. The highlights. The unexpected step. Highlights. Actually, I would have comboed those, but I don't know how long we were in the one, so that's okay. Sometimes John helps me get a rhythm for breaking these up into lesson segments, so that it is more sustainable for you guys at home. Boop. That way you guys aren't getting so fatigued. And remember, we're going to chapter mark this. It will be timestamped, a little bit after the show is done. And then after that, we get a mini book out. And then eventually, with any luck, books. But for now, at least, we're releasing things to you guys for free because the Acrylic April book from last year taught us a bunch of lessons.
But we're getting close here.
We're getting close, man. Now we're going to take our white, and it's just great to just, have your white and come up here and create highlights on your flowers. I like to tap up and down, kind of mimic perhaps the shape of the flower. What works for me. So much fun to paint. I love painting flowers.
Lubella said, no, it's Lula. Lula says, you need to come to Europe and do a retreat here.
Yes.
We need a European
Agreed.
vacation.
Agreed. Agreed. I want to. We get this like COVID thing under control as a globe. I'm going to celebrate by going places. I didn't even know I wanted to go places so badly.
So Ashley passed this along. It says, Holi is the popular ancient Hindu festival, also known as the Festival of Love and the Festival of Colors and the Festival of Spring.
Doesn't that seem like a me festival?
Yeah.
Like that I should be celebrating?
The festival celebrates the eternal and divine love of Radha.
I don't know who that is, but yay! It's love.
Sounds like the right place to throw a party. I'm into that one though.
I am. That is pretty cool for me as well.
Love, color, and spring.
Love, color, and spring. Got it.
Radha, I'm on board.
You are? You're like, I'm there.
I'm on that train.
I would be too. So we're just finding little clusters where, we create shapes of the tops of the flowers by the highlights, if you guys see. And then every once in a while, you'll want to back up.
Yeah.
Oh, such a happy thing. I know you guys were like ready for this tomorrow, so I appreciate you all being so understanding about us putting up another video.
Oh, yeah. I think everyone understood. They had a good time.
Sometimes you got to. Everybody, even the Art Sherpa. It's white down here, but sometimes I will like pick up just a little ultramarine blue when I know I'm down more in the shadows.
Now, I'm not sure it's Vineeth or Vineth.
Okay.
Says, I'm from India and Holi is fun. I totally believe it.
I believe you.
You know what? You could post photos of.
Well, we have a Holi tutorial.
Yeah.
We do.
I know.
It's hands with color. It's a Q-tip based tutorial, so that it's real fun. It always does good. And the results are so wonderful. I always love to see what everybody does. And then there's always somebody who's like, I'm doing a fun run. And I'm like, oh, good for you for jogging. They do it because they were in one of those color fun runs.
So no, you missed the point. Just have color and fun and love and spring, and I'm down with that.
And hopefully there's food. Is there food? There's got to be food, right? I don't like fasting holidays. I got to tell you, I support my friends who have religious observances that are fasting. Like, I'm not like one of those people who's like, if you tell me you have a holy observance and you can't eat food, I'm not like, are you sure you don't want a chocolate bar? Like, I respect it. I do. I had a friend that was Baha'i growing up, and they had a whole fest, and then there's, Lent, and different people have different things, and I support it, and I don't like undermine it in any way. I just don't want to participate. She'll be like, do you want to participate? And I'm like, in starvation? No, but I support your right to starve. Let's go.
I like celebrations that involve extra food. I'm very hobbity that way.
Yeah, I'm into the hobbity celebrations. Is there a second and third meal to this?
If it involves a second breakfast and a third bottle of wine, I might be into it.
We have both the Star Wars and the Lord of the Rings cookbooks.
Does it come with a wheel of cheese?
Wheel of cheese, please. If you have a holiday that comes with a wheel of cheese, we are on board.
Or color and love.
Color and love, but I bet there's food.
Yes, food.
Yeah.
Food is definitely the candied nuts.
Yeah. I eat a lot of lentils, so I'm good. I am. I am like cauliflower and I like lentil. Oh my gosh. Like real lemon rice. I don't know what it's called.
Saffron rice, man.
No, lemon rice. I don't know what it's called traditionally in India, but here in the restaurants they call it lemon rice. For us, I don't. It's so good. And it takes like I went to look online like what it would take to make it, and I was like, no, I need a grandmother that will make this for me. This is too much, but it's so good.
It's like rolling tamales. It requires skill, not just reading a cookbook.
Yeah, it's too much. So you see me, we're just tapping, or like dumplings, little stuffed dumplings is another one. That's skill, not just cookbook.
Apparently, Philadelphia has a cheese holiday.
And I love Philly. I love Philadelphia. I love Philadelphia, city of brotherly love.
They took a steak and
Great
covered it
art
with
shows
cheese and made
there.
a thing about it.
Wonderful museums, wonderful art scene, wonderful community. I love Philadelphia. I love Philadelphia so much. You guys probably did not know that I was that excited about Philadelphia, but I am. And for real, like not like how, you know, a comedian goes to a city and they're like, oh, I love you. You know, no, like for real, like I love it. I just can't go. Like when we were moving to this end of the world, that was like a place I was super going to go all the time. And then, you know, COVID happened, so I didn't. But as soon as I'm like fully vaccinated and it's legal and things open up, safety first. I respect safety because it's not so much for me to care about others. I don't mind. But as soon as it is okay, then I'm going to go. You know, all the things.
San Francisco and New York have the diverse group of people that make for super awesome restauranting because they come from all over the world and then they live there and then they're like, I would like to have a restaurant, and then you're like, oh, I would like to eat at your restaurant because I have never
support
had this.
you in your dreams.
Well, I mean, like, where can you, like, we had
Support your
Ethiopian
dreams.
and Indian and Southeast Asian, and then we had a thing where they mixed sushi and barbecue and all of that. Oh yeah, and then there was like Samoan Hawaiian, and then we listened to a live theremin band.
So clearly we are like hobbits.
Yeah.
Definitely like hobbits. Or bits.
So clearly, like, you know.
Hobbits. Gonna do some Lord of the Rings.
Some New Yorkery.
Yeah. When I've got to take my daughter to Hamilton. I have a kid that's that into that show. She's got to go. She sings the whole thing. She's super into it.
You would think sushi and barbecue, not good. But
Super
it's
good.
It's like chicken and waffles. It just works.
I don't need to know why a thing works to support it.
No. But I know when syrup added makes it better, and it does. So I was just like, yes, please.
Now down low here again, I will be a little more into the ultramarine blue into my light white, and that's because this plant would not be as much in focus. Clearly. Just touching those, and you just kind of keep a sense of the overall shape, right? The little crown shape that it has. Platter, you can think of it as a platter. Whatever you think of it as that allows you to kind of focus on those details. And every once in a while, step back.
They look really nice.
And evaluate. Oh, I'm super happy. I love to do this stuff with you guys. It gives me so much joy. So much joy. I think we're getting there though, John.
They really are.
Yeah. I think you guys can take this as far as you guys want from here. You get the gist, right?
They're flowers.
You get the gist.
So many flowers.
All right. I say all right, and then I come back and I touch it a few places.
You're gonna sign it, and you're gonna but that flower.
I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna be good. I'm good.
Are you?
Yeah. It's a good class. This is a good place to stop and
let's see her
step
sign
back.
it, and then see if she can actually
walk away.
Walk away. My bet is we're gonna get at least 2 or 3, like, you know.
No. We're good. I'm gonna take a number 1 monogram liner.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take my, in this particular case, I don't mind grabbing a little bit of this white here. I just don't want it to be super bright. Alrighty.
Man, that turned out fantastic.
It did. It just is a joy. And I knew it would be a joy, and hopefully it's a joy for you. Painting should be a joy. And no project or no subject should feel so overwhelming or so busy that you can't just break it down into steps and paint it for yourself at home. So let's see. We have the gnome on Tuesday.
The gnome?
Yes, he is the Aries gnome.
That's right.
Our star gnome series. If you're into astronomes or astrology, we're doing all the signs of the zodiac. So he is on Tuesday. Wednesday over on the watercolor channel is our new watercolor class. And at 4:30, because Wednesday is the 31st, at 4:30, no, 4:30, 4 on Facebook is the pre-show for Acrylic April, and we'll cover the first mini book and the first worksheet and all that stuff, and help get you guys ready and prepped for the best Acrylic April. This is our 3rd year. So to all you 3rd years, woo! And to all your 2nd years, woo! And to all your 1st years, you can do it. Don't get too nervous. I cannot wait for this. What?
They should go check out yesterday's video too, your fan favorite.
Oh, yeah. And I have a video I dropped yesterday that kind of bumped this video, but you guys check it out. It's a
secret tiny whisper.
Secret tiny whisper.
You're awesome. But it's Cinnamon's favorites. It's
so
if you're into
it, but you know,
stuff,
it's a pretty keyhole painting of a girl in a landscape. So it's beautiful whether or not you do.
You'll love it.
Its mini book is done, and its timestamps are done, and all of its resources are there. And it's a one hooter. One. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. And I want to see you at an easel real soon. Bye-bye.